Highway planting projects are an important part of California's freeway system. Proper inspection during construction will help your planting project maintain its quality and appearance. In the next few minutes, we'll discuss 5 phases of a highway planting project to assist resident engineers and inspectors. The phases are roadside clearing, preparing planting areas, inspecting plants, planting, and plant establishment. We'll start with roadside clearing. Roadside clearing varies for each project. The special provisions in planting plans identify the work to be done and its limits. Roadside clearing is just what it sounds like, clearing the roadside. This means removing trash and debris, killing, removing, or mowing weeds and other vegetation, and controlling rodents. In this project, the contractor is removing all vegetation on the slopes. The bulldozers are chained together for safety. The contractor is also repairing erosion damage as he does his roadside clearing. There may be times when it's desirable to leave some vegetation on the slope to help reduce the potential for stormwater pollution during the rainy season. On this slope, the vegetation has been killed but not removed. The contractor has spot sprayed the weeds. Note the fresh dye from the pesticide spraying. Project specifications may require weeds that have grown outside of planted areas and between widely spaced plants to be mowed as shown here. If weeds have grown in the plant basins, they should be pulled by hand. When a contractor uses chemicals to control weeds, you should check to make sure they are wearing protective clothing, including eye protection. Check to make sure the chemicals are mixed and stored in a safe manner. A person with a pesticide applicator's license is required to be at the site. However, the person spraying the chemicals does not need a license. The contractor is to obtain recommendations for the use of all pesticides from a licensed pest control advisor. These recommendations are to be followed in accordance with the requirements of the California Food and Agriculture Code. The contractor is to prepare a report of chemical operations every week that chemicals are applied. Copies of the recommendations and chemical reports are to be kept in the resident engineer's office at the construction site and provided to the local Caltrans maintenance office when the project is complete. Another part of roadside clearing is controlling rodents. Gophers are the #1 cause of slope damage. You can tell there are gophers in the area by surface mounds left from their tunneling. Their burrows can damage plant basins. These basins must be repaired so they will retain water. Baiting and trapping are the methods used to control gophers. Some counties have rodent abatement programs and will give expert advice upon request. Check with the County Agricultural Extension Office in your area. Root protectors may be specified in your plans to control gopher damage. We'll talk more about root protectors later. After roadside clearing is complete and the irrigation system has been installed, tested, and backfilled, it's time to prepare the planting areas. The contractor will mark plant locations and perimeters of ground cover areas with gypsum or small wire-mounted flags. Here, different colored flags designate the locations of the various plant species. You'll use the plant layout sheets in the planting plans to check for correct plant locations. The plant locations must meet the minimum setbacks from the traveled way, pavement, fences, walls, and ditches as shown in the plant list and planting specifications sheet. Trees and shrubs have to be at least 2.5 meters from overhead sprinklers. You should also make sure the plant locations receive water from the irrigation system. With the layout complete, the plant holes can be dug by hand or with a power auger. Check the holes for proper diameter and depth as shown on the plant list and the plant specifications sheet. With the ground prepared, it's time for the plants to be delivered. You can inspect the plants when they arrive at the planting site, or you can inspect them at the nursery. Here, we're at the nursery. The first thing to do is check the name tags on the plants to confirm they are the plants indicated on the planting plans. Next, check to see if there are any obviously deformed, diseased, or insect-infested plants. Here's an oleander with a gall in the flower stem, and it should not be accepted. For comparison, this is what the flowers and buds of a healthy oleander look like. This India hawthorn shrub has leaf spot and insect damage and is not acceptable. Take a few plants out of their containers and check for root-bound conditions. Make sure there are enough roots so the dirt or root ball will hold together when planting. This root ball of prostrate acacia is acceptable. The roots of this oleander are root-bound and are not acceptable. Notice that the pot is completely full with roots. Soil doesn't drop when the container is removed. With roots so tight, water won't be able to penetrate this root ball after planting, and the plant will die. You might suspect a plant is root-bound if it appears to be too large or has a large diameter stem. You should also check for root girdling. Washing the dirt away from these roots shows the plant's taproot has circled the root system. This taproot will continue to circle and choke the root system until the plant eventually dies. Root girdling is found in plants that have a main taproot and have been left in the container too long. This xylosma shrub and oak trees are two plant species that can suffer from root girdling. Finally, check to make sure the plants are the appropriate size for their container. For example, liner-sized plants such as this eucalyptus should not be replanted to a 1-gallon pot in order to sell the larger size. With the plants inspected, we're ready to plant. The planting list and planting specifications sheet in the plans identifies the hole size, the basin type, whether the plant needs iron sulfate, soil amendment, or fertilizer, the mulch each plant should receive, and whether the plant needs to be staked. You should inspect the planting to ensure these requirements are met. Only enough plants that can be planted in one day should be delivered to the planting site. Check the soil of the plants. If the plants have been trucked a long distance, it's common for the supplier to let the plants dry out to reduce their weight. If their soil is dry, they should be watered immediately after they're unloaded at the site. Pay attention to the way the plants are handled during planting. They should be handled with care. This 15-gallon tree is being planted in a Type 1 basin in a flat area. Fertilizer is mixed into the backfill. If slow or controlled release fertilizer is specified, this must be stated on the bag. The hole is backfilled. Make sure the plant is straight in the hole before tamping down the soil. A water basin is built around the plant to hold the water in the root zone. The detail calls for this basin to be 75 millimeters deep and the root ball to extend 25 millimeters higher than the surrounding grade. This inspector is checking those measurements. Mulch is applied to the basin to retain moisture and discourage weeds. The required amount comes out about even with the surrounding grade. The contractor is removing wood chips that are longer than the specifications allow. A Type 1 planting basin on a slope is different than for a flat area. The detail calls for the deepest part of the basin to be on the uphill side and the mulch to be on the uphill side as well. Here, a 1-gallon size sycamore is being planted. When basin sprinklers are specified, make sure the distance from the sprinkler to the plant is what is called for in the plans. All plants must be watered as soon as possible after planting. It's best to plant all the plants along one irrigation line and then turn that irrigation line on. The project may call for soil amendment to be mixed into the soil or plant hole backfilled. Soil amendment is made of decomposed wood, bark, or composted green waste products that have been treated to absorb water quickly. As we mentioned earlier, root protectors may be required to control rodent pests like gophers. Root protectors are fabricated from 25 millimeter hexagonal pattern non-galvanized 20-gauge mesh wire. They are placed in plant holes with approximately 76 millimeters of the wire cylinder extending above grade as shown here. Mulch may be required in planting areas to discourage weed growth and retain moisture. It should be kept away from drainage channels and away from plant stems. Some projects require the installation of foliage protectors around the plants immediately after planting. These keep deer, rabbits, squirrels, and other animals from eating the young plants. Some plants in your project may require staking. 2 stakes are installed on opposite sides of the plant. The stakes are placed so that they are across the direction of the prevailing wind and not in line with the wind. Plant stakes are driven next to the root ball to a minimum depth of 450 millimeters below finish grade. Care should be taken not to drive the stake through the root ball. Our specifications call for trees to be attached to the stakes with vinyl-based tape, not the plastic ties this contractor is using. The stake provided by the nursery should be removed. Never tie a plant directly against the stake. Some trees, such as these California peppers, do not require staking. Now, a little about fertilizer. The primary elements in fertilizer are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Nitrogen is important to the green part of the plant. It stimulates lush growth and rapid cover. Phosphorus and potassium stimulate formation of roots and early growth of the plant. The numbers on the fertilizer container indicate the percentages of these elements: 16% nitrogen, 20% phosphorus, and 0% potassium. The final stage of a planting project is the plant establishment period. The contractor cares for the new planting for a specified period of time, usually 1 to 3 years after it's been installed. The objective of this period is to ensure that the plants are healthy and established and that the irrigation system works as planned before the state accepts the project. The planting should be watered with the automatic irrigation controllers on the automatic mode. Immediately after planting, frequent light waterings are necessary. This is especially important for ground cover plants. Once the root systems become established, watering can be reduced. It's the contractor's responsibility to set and modify the watering schedule. Factors to consider in setting the water schedule include soil type, terrain or slope, the exposure, plant species, and local weather conditions. Regular checks of the irrigation system should be made to determine the need for sprinkler adjustment or the repair of broken lines. Check the plant list and planting specifications sheet for fertilizer to be applied during this period. Check for plants that have died. Here, the contractor is replacing lantana. Plants that have died should be replaced within 2 weeks after they're marked. Don't let the contractor wait until the end of the plant establishment period. Replacement plants need adequate time to become established too. Determining the need for plant replacement may require considerable judgment. It's a good idea to consult with the district landscape specialist or project landscape architect if there is any doubt. Weed control will continue during this period. Notice the pesticide dye on the newly sprayed weeds. Also, notice that mulch is kept out of the flow line. Here, the weeds outside of the planted areas have been mowed. Rodent control will also continue during this period. Trash and debris will be removed as needed. It's important that the newly planted areas present a clean and neat appearance. Highway planting projects are a functional and attractive part of the California freeway system. Proper inspection is essential to the success of highway planting project. With proper inspection of the 5 stages of a highway planting project: roadside clearing, preparing planting areas, inspecting plants, planting, and plant establishment, you can be confident that your next project will look good and be easier to maintain.